Hello. Hate and fear. That's not the American way. Inner mind communication, the practice of love within your heart and mind, inside your mind, can tell you that this country is a country where we do not allow manipulation by hate and fear. Not for long. And now we're seeing articles of impeachment. This is an act of love for the country. Inner mind communication is about that kind of love that stands up for the weak and the helpless, for the other, for those who are kind and just want to work. Now we can hear a little bit about what Representative Al Green has to say.
Where you don't have resources, don't give you any due process. This is not America. The president is destroying the lawful judicial processes that we have enjoyed. He is chipping away at them. And if the president can do it for a person who is here for whatever reasons, the president can do it to any one of us. Especially when the president believes that you don't have to allow a person to say, hey, you have the wrong person. I didn't do that. Doesn't matter, because the president believes that he has the sole authority by and through his agents to determine who can stay and who must leave. And unfortunately, someone who should be here is not here as a result of the president's behavior. The president is harmful to the processes that we have enjoyed in this country. He is unfit to be president. He is also unfit because he disrespects the judiciary. When he loses a case, it's always the judge's fault. And what is amazing to me is that I have colleagues who are buying into that it's the judge's fault. Let's impeach the judge because it's the judge's fault. Always the judge. Always the judge. Never his fault. Always the judge. When we start this process of having the person who holds the highest office in the land continually say that judges are not fair when they're dealing with him and things that he would have done, when we allow that, we are now sending a signal to the rest of society that the judges are the reason why we're not succeeding, the reason why we can't have whatever it is that we want and can't acquire, and we have to take it to court. It's always the judges. At some point, people will have a disrespect for the law and the process that will cause others to disrespect the country.
Disrespect of the country. This is something we cannot tolerate. This evil bubbling up when people, unthinking, thoughtless people, use hate and fear to get their way, to get more power, to get more money. This has to be something that we stand against. That is an act of love. A love for the American people, and a love for this country, and a love for the world. Trump is now presenting himself as someone who is an enemy to our friends. And they don't trust us now. And his tariffs, that what is the effect? They're finding other people to trade with. China is one of them. That's what we're going to do as a country. The evidence against him is just unbelievable. And he has a long history. It's not something that, it's a one-off. This guy has a long history of conning people. Failed businesses, one after another after another. And now he's going to bankrupt the country. Why? Well, there's method to the madness here. When the prices go real low, wow. Rich people can go in and buy everything, cheap. And then it goes up and they get wealthy. Well, that instability, though, hurts us in the long run. It also makes us less competitive, to where we're going to lose our edge. We used to criticize the communist countries, so-called. They're not really, because it doesn't work. But what they have is dictatorships. So, but they had a lot of protectionism and a lack of competition, and they lost whatever edge they could have. And we have a long history of endorsing competition, but over the years, we've allowed legal monopolies. I should say monopolies to be legalized that shouldn't be. Put it that way. But of course, monopoly is a legal term, I suppose. So I guess we have to say, when you have too much and nobody else can compete, does that speak to you as a small business person? Some of the small business people, the farmers, the truckers, they're hurting. In this economy, how are they going to compete? They used to be able to run their own little business and make a living. Now it's just nearly impossible. It's really hard. But the rich countries and companies, they're doing fine. Yeah, they're doing fine, and they're not paying high wages. Another thing that you need to consider is how Elon Musk and Trump laughed about illegally firing people on strike. Again, the disrespect for the laws of this country, disrespect for you as a trading partner. In a more thoughtful, loving country, people are respected as trading partners. Heck, little kids that can't work are great trading partners. They're an investment in our future, and they give us a lot of delight. Yeah, it's good to have healthy kids and grandkids growing up in a country we can be proud of. If you want to go back to something, let's go back to that. Not what Trump is envisioning. We used to be a little better. Yeah. But the Democratic Party, for a long time, as Robert Reich says, they would shrink away from being the Workers' Party Oh, we have to be more, every time they lose, it was, oh, we have to be more conservative. We have to bow to the wealthy. Forget, the era of big government's over. I'm telling you, without big government, how are you going to have anything standing up for the workers when you have these big corporations, enormous corporations? And, I don't see anybody doing a dodge on them. What is the biggest waste? Giving all the money to just a few people. And that's how it's happening here in this country. Well, the question is, are you going to call your Republican senators and tell them to act a little more along the lines of Abraham Lincoln and vote to impeach this president? Now, as a mystic, as someone who has touched the hem of the garment of great love, I have no desire to punish anyone. But people that have grown addicted to way too much wealth, they need to be on a diet. How much of a diet? Well, they need to pay into the system enough to make sure that we don't have homeless veterans, veterans without care, medical care, children without medical care, and without food, hungry in the schools. So how well does the Republican Party treat you? Well, the southern states are debtor states. They do the worst. They produce less. Their education systems are lower by and large. They're lower in performance. And so, look, the evidence right there in front of your eyes. If you have a Republican senator or congressman, call them and tell them to vote for impeachment. And make it really plain that you don't want a dictatorship. Yeah? And you're tired of feeding the rich and starving veterans and children. Before FDR came in and created Social Security, which, by the way, is an earned benefit, the lack of that, before that happened, we had elderly people dying in the street. Just, who was standing up for them? Nobody. Took the government to come in and make sure that they were okay, that they could survive, that they could enjoy a little retirement after working so hard. Have you ever even seen some of these rich guys break a sweat? Let them work for a couple of years over a hot grill or paroling the streets. Yeah, they talk tough. Yeah, let them give up their jobs and become police officers for a while, or join the fire department, garbage collection department in your city. Let's see them do that. But they're quite willing to make sure that Social Security just ain't going to be there for these folks. Really? We need to stand up. We need to have Mr. Green's back.
People invest in this country because they know that we have a good judiciary, that it is a process that has been in place and that will be honored. They invest in this country also because they know that your money is safe here. You invest in our bills, our bonds, It's safe. We have stability. Except when you do as the president has just done, and that is tariff some 90 countries and do it in such a way as to cause people to start to equivocate when it comes to.
Hello? Yes, countries have trusted us. Our dollar has been strong, but now it's being weakened. And their organization, BRICS, is an organization that would love to get rid of people trusting our country and its stability. We're nowhere close to stable right now. We're alienating our allies, acting like friends to our enemies. Well, the enemy of love should be your enemy. And what is love? Okay, at the very least, love is the meeting of real human needs. And we, as I teach on this channel and on my other channel where it's all about, completely about the approach that you can take in your own mind, it needs, your empathy needs creativity, the ability to see things from different perspectives. It needs to have objectivity, because that's where our sense of the virtue of truth comes from. It's being objective. It's not about defending a position because it comforts you or because it's yours. It's about finding what the real facts are as best as you can. And that takes objectivity and compassion, from which we get goodness. What is compassion? Well, compassion is that gateway, that safety for people to say, I need help, and answer. It's a gateway to the freedom to feel. And what is feeling? It's your life. How are you feeling today with Trump in charge? Leave it in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you agree. Until next time. Oops. Let's not make an oops. Let's get rid of this guy. Impeach Trump.